Jerome Powell, which we all know, the chairman of the Fed, the central bank of the US, reportedly sold between $1 to $5 million worth of stock of its personal account back in October 1st, 2020. This was really days before the Dow Jones dropped almost 6%, following, COVID and pretty much, what was following after that. But it's really interesting because when you look at the position, the high profile ranking of Jerome Powell, he is really the only US citizen, the only American to know exactly what the monetary policy is going to look like, depending on very harsh circumstances, especially what we saw back in 2020. When you dip down into the details of what actually happened in the history on the timeline, you can really see that even though it doesn't seem like this is insider trading, it's still very suspicious. Why? Because I wouldn't expect Jerome Powell to actually sell that much chunk of money from stocks if he felt like the market wasn't going to go down. I mean, I'm just saying, guys, maybe I'm wrong somewhere here, but when you think about the timeline, Donald Trump, when the whole thing started, Jerome Powell said to Donald Trump and the lawmakers that the federal, the central bank are ready to do whatever it takes to supporting the economy in terms of supporting and stimulating the economy, because what we're seeing now doesn't seem like the market is going to recover. And if nothing is done, we can actually face dramatic consequences. And some other experts define those consequences to close even worse than what we experienced back in 1929, which so far is the worst economic crisis that the world ever saw. Now, when you look at the different episodes of the back and forth between the White House and the Fed and, the Treasury and the lawmakers before they started, even thinking about having the first trillion stimulus package, which actually was the very first bump on the upside that the markets, Dow Jones, Nasdaq saw, and started the recovery from, the whole crash in 2020. The market was still dropping pretty hard. So even though the Fed guidelines are not putting a lot more scrutiny, a lot more, monitoring into the trades that the Fed officials are doing with their own money in the market, it's still, I don't want to say prevents, but it encourages them hardly to pay close attention to the money or the transactions that they're actually having, especially when it comes to the stock market, because it can be really close to insider trading based on conflict of interest or information they might have had because they are sitting precisely on a roll and have privileged knowledge to something that may move the markets that you and I, the average Joe on the street, don't have. And if we did have the same information, we would have done things differently when it comes to the money we are investing to the market. So it's really bothering a little bit because a couple of weeks ago, not just a couple of weeks ago, we were also talking about, Fed officials, especially the president of the the bank, the Dallas Fed, and also the Boston Fed actually were forced to quit because they traded millions worth of stocks prior to the pandemic starting. Please, what you think about this whole thing happening and how it's also one of the main issues we're experiencing here on AMC Stock. Why? Because if only people in charge were making sure that things were transparent, that things were done according to the books, we wouldn't be even in this position here. Not only with AMC, but with many other stocks on the market. Because whatever short sellers are doing outside the books, under the table, is not only impacting those stocks, the meme stocks only. It's pretty much impacting pretty much the entire market, because they are targeting all of the orders, all of the stocks that retailers are actually buying, whether through 401k, IRAs, 529 accounts, etc., etc. So I think the whole system it's poised and corrupted, and I don't think things might change just like this overnight. So maybe we still have a couple of months in there before we actually get to see what we need to see and fold this and move on. But I may be wrong.